Welcome to the Blissful Biz podcast. Today I want to talk about something a little bit different, a little bit more personal that has shaped my entrepreneurial journey. How I learned to trust my intuition when making business decisions and how you can do too. I'm not sure if my relationship with my intuition was always strong. I definitely took some big life-changing decisions simply trusting my intuition years ago already, like taking a job in an advertising agency in Geneva in Switzerland without having ever been to the city. I can't believe I really did that, but I just knew that it would be amazing. And it was an adventure. But I think especially in the early days of building my business, I often ignored those subtle inner nudges in favor of what seemed logical or what others were doing in the digital marketing space or what my mentor of the day told me. I remember I was in this big, fancy, high-ticket mastermind program and I learned how to set up evergreen funnels and use fake timers and lots of urgency and FOMO in my emails and fancy application funnels. And I set this up and it was working. Not really super great, but it was working, but something fell off. There was this persistent feeling in my gut saying, this isn't your path. Of course, like everybody, I pushed that feeling aside, right? After all, who chooses intuition over expert advice? I paid $20,000 to be in that program. But the more I ignored it, the more resistance I felt in executing the plan. I'm Susanne Reicher, digital marketing expert with over 20 years of experience, turned yoga teacher, turned six-figure online business owner. 10 years ago, I flew to Bali for a yoga teacher training, fell in love with the island, and decided to build an online business so I could live there. Can't be that hard, right? That decision launched me into an adventure bigger than I'd ever imagined. Over the last 8 years, I've guided over 1,000 yoga teachers and hard-led coaches how to launch and sell their digital offers, build their brand and websites, and build a profitable online business. In this podcast, I share real proven strategies and the exact steps that work. Whether you're just starting out or ready to scale, we'll dive into everything from creating offers your students can't resist to making digital marketing work for you. If you're ready to build a business that brings both freedom and success, you are in the right place. It never really felt right, and after a while, without overthinking things, I simply changed things, and now my business looks very different to what it did back then. So for example, I don't use timers. I use them in a launch when there's a fixed deadline, but I don't use those fake evergreen timers. And most importantly, I finally gave myself permission to listen to my inner voice. And in that silence, it told me clearly, your business needs to be an extension of your spiritual practice, not separate from it. And that's the journey I'm on right now. I'm analytical. I studied marketing. I love learning about funnels and sales techniques and all that. And I love to manage projects and build something. But it needs to feel right and aligned. For me, it's the woo and the work, the spiritual and the strategies combined. That's also why I really, really love working with yoga teachers. And when I switched my niche, it felt kind of off as well, right? So that felt more like not really trusting my intuition. And my intuition was telling me to go back. And I followed it. I'm so happy I did. Over time, I've learned that my intuition communicates in specific ways, so you might relate to that. First, physical sensations. So there's a lightness in my chest when something's right. And on the other hand, there's a heaviness when it's not. Number two, an immediate knowing. Those instant yes or no responses that come before logical analysis. Number three, recurring thoughts. So ideas that keep resurfacing despite attempts to dismiss them. And number four, synchronicities, meaningful coincidences that point toward or away from certain decisions. The more I honored these signals, the stronger and clearer they became. It was like developing a new sensory system specifically for business decisions. For example, my most successful program, the Blissful Biz Academy, wasn't born from market research. It came from an intuitive flash during Shavasana. I immediately saw the entire program structure, not just the content, but how it would feel for participants. And the same is true for Low Ticket Mojo. I just had this idea and then was like, oh my God, this is so exciting. I really have to do this. This doesn't mean ignoring practical business principles. Instead, it's using intuition as a filter to identify which strategies will work specifically for me and my community. So I started working with my intuition and what I call my inner voice more consciously in the last year. Yes, it's always been a part of my life, but now I'm bringing more awareness to it. And I love it. It's so much fun. It truly brings me so much joy to connect to my inner voice. For example, a few months ago, I felt a bit tired and like I'm not showing up fully. And I asked my inner voice the question, with what percentage am I showing up in my business right now? The answer was, I think if I remember it right, something around 70%, which isn't bad, I think. But next I asked my inner voice, what is blocking me from showing up with 100%? What is blocking me? And the answer was that I, deep inside, feel that I'm not worthy of the attention of people following me, that I'm not lovable, that I'm, not good enough for that. That's really, really deep. It was like, oh my God, where's this coming from? This is not something that I thought about. It's not something easy to fix, right? But bringing awareness to this is the first step. It's not that I'm not confident. I'm really confident in my business and how I'm showing up. It's really a very, very deep underlying issue. And I'm grateful that it came up, that I have now this opportunity to work on this. I know it's going to improve not only how I run my business, but my whole life when I'm able to work through that. And that's the beautiful thing of being an entrepreneur, that we are on this road of self-discovery. We are on this road of self-love, of connecting to ourselves, because when you're an entrepreneur, you're always going to face challenges. You're always going to face limiting beliefs. And this is such a beautiful opportunity to work through that. That's going to improve your life and not just your business. So today I want to share some practices that have transformed how I make business decisions. So real, tangible ways you can strengthen your intuitive guidance. The first one is to create daily silence. Start your day with even just 10 minutes of stillness before diving into emails or social media. This is my non-negotiable morning ritual, meditation, right? In that quiet space, intuitive insight naturally emerge before my logical mind takes over. And I found the most powerful business ideas often arrive during these moments of calm, not during strategic planning sessions. Then, I already talked about that, ask your inner voice powerful questions. Connect to your inner voice, to your intuition, whatever you want to call it, and ask questions. I've discovered the quality of answers depends on the quality of questions. So some of my favorite questions to ask my inner voice are, for example, what's blocking me from doing XYZ? Or what's stopping me from doing this? Like, what's stopping me from going live in my stories? What's stopping me from showing up on social media? Or another great question, maybe after a launch didn't work out, why didn't it work? What's been wrong? Like, why didn't it work? Or what does my business need from me right now that I'm not seeing? Or another one, what belief is holding me back from my next level of growth? And then you can work through that belief. What belief is holding me back from my next level of growth? Or another one, what part of my current strategy feels out of alignment? You might not even be aware of it consciously, but your inner voice will know if something feels off on some level. You're not sure what it is. Ask your inner voice, what feels out of alignment? And these direct questions bypass your analytical mind and tap into your deeper wisdom. It's so, so valuable. Okay, so another strategy is to document your intuitive hits. Keep a dedicated business intuition journal or some notes in your notes app. This is what I'm doing. When you feel that unmistakable pull toward or away from something, capture it. Capture it immediately. Let's say an idea came up for a new offer. So next I would sit with it and note the physical sensations in my body, the quality of the feeling, and then track what happens when I follow these signals. For example, I might feel butterflies in my stoppage and get really, really excited. That normally, means it's an aligned opportunity, while heaviness in my chest might mean pause and reconsider. There's something off. Doesn't mean that it's necessarily wrong. Maybe it's just like the way I package it, the way I want to do it, that's off. So I really document that. I'm a big fan of journaling, of writing down all my ideas, of sitting with them again and again when I'm not 100% sure it's a 100% yes. Then the next one, distinguish fear from intuition. This is something a lot of us struggle with. And I was really unsure about this. Fear and intuition can feel remarkably similar at first. And you might be wondering, is this my intuition telling me not to do this? Like my intuition is telling me not to do this launch so big. Right? So to send out 12 emails, you should play a smaller game that feels more aligned, blah, blah, blah. But it might be fear telling you this and not your intuition. It might be fear stopping you from playing a bigger game and really showing up. So they can feel similar, but they affect your energy differently. Fear constricts while intuition expands. So when considering, for example, a new program, I pay attention to whether the thought makes me feel smaller or creates a sense of possibility, of expansion, even when it's challenging. Fear whispers, I can't do this, while intuition says, not this way. There might be another way. Another way to use your intuition is to create your business community. Your environment either amplifies or dampens your intuition and your intuitive abilities. I intentionally stepped away from business groups focused solely on metrics and sought connections with entrepreneurs who value both profit and purpose. This shift was uncomfortable initially, but essential. And it's not only like only the metrics. I was once in a mastermind where the majority of the group, like in our weekly calls, it was all about complaining. I realized that this was like pulling me down so much, so I stopped attending the calls. I didn't really connect with anyone in that mastermind. And it just felt off. It wasn't my energy. I really listen to this now. So it's not only about, okay, this group is focused on strategies alone. That can feel very aligned. It's more the overall energy that I value. So that's, like one way of really expanding how you use your intuition in your business. Another way is to implement intuition checkpoints. So build specific moments into your business planning to pause and to listen. For example, before launching a new program, I asked my inner voice, does this align with my highest purpose? I look at my offer, I look at my promise, I look at or the features or the level of support that I'm offering. And adjustments come up. Like last year when I repackaged the Blissful Biz Academy and I offered a more standalone solution that didn't include so much personal feedback and personal calls and personal time from me, and that felt so aligned in that moment. I also allow myself more time to come to those decisions, to sit with it. Like when I create a curriculum or a new program, I'm going to sit with it. I'm going to take a week or even 2 weeks to fine-tune my program and what I'm going to deliver to make sure that it really, really feels aligned. This is not something that you can always come up with in one session and then that's it. So sometimes you have to create more space for those intuitive refinements, I would call it. Another way to use your intuition in your business is to practice body-centered decision-making. Your body holds wisdom your analytical mind simply can't access. We all know that. When facing a business crossroads, I might place my hand on my heart while contemplating each option, noticing where I feel openness or tension. This bypasses my overthinking, my analytical mind, and connects directly to what's truly aligned with my deeper inner voice. So some of my most successful offerings emerged not from, like careful analysis, but from this embodied knowing. And finally, regularly revisit your deeper why, your vision. So every quarter, I try to take a day away from operations, running my business, to reconnect with my core purpose. During these pauses, I reflect on which aspects of my business feel energizing and which might feel heavy. This creates a powerful feedback loop between my conscious business goals and my intuitive guidance system. A simple question I ask myself: what part of my work makes me lose track of time? And the answer often points to where my business wants to grow next. I always allow room to pivot, to change. I'm 100% open to that, always in my business. Yes, there's so much power in having the strategy and sticking with it. And you might also want to connect to your inner voice and ask it, why do you want to change something? Why do you want to move away from something? Is it fear, or is it your intuition guiding you to the next step? So it's create daily silence, Ask powerful questions to your inner voice. Document intuitive hits. Distinguish fear from intuition. Curate your business community. Implement intuition checkpoints. Practice body-centered decision-making. And regularly revisit your deeper why. The most beautiful thing about leading a business guided by intuition is the flow it creates. When your business decisions align with your inner knowing, you're no longer pushing against the current. You are moving with the natural flow of your unique gifts and purpose. This doesn't mean everything becomes effortless. Building a successful online business or any kind of business still requires so much dedication, so much work. And you want to have the strategies in place. You want to have a funnel that brings you sales every day, and you want to set that up. But there's a profound difference between working hard against resistance and working hard in alignment with your path. To every yoga teacher or spiritual entrepreneur listening who feels called to share their gifts more widely, trust that inner voice. Your intuition isn't separate from your business acumen. It's an essential part of it. When you honor that wisdom, you create a business that's not only succeeds financially, but that also fulfills your spiritual purpose. So I hope this episode was inspiring to you, a little bit different and still helpful. Let me know when you have any questions or want to share any feedback with me. You can find me on Instagram. I'm Susanne Reike in one word there. You can email me. I would love to hear from you. Bye for now. Have a beautiful week, and I'll talk to you again soon. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of the Blissful Biz podcast. If you found this helpful, I'd love it if you hit subscribe and left a review on Apple Podcasts. It helps other yoga teachers and coaches find these strategies too, and it would mean the world to me. It really makes a difference. And if you're ready to take the next step, head over to my website, susannereike.com, where you'll find my free resources, latest blog posts, and all the ways we can work together to grow your online business. Until next week, keep building your blissful biz.